One line from The Incredibles might perfectly describe this episode. Coincidence? I doubt it. The 60th anniversary specials prove that since the Doctor has engaged in a game at the edge of the universe, myths and superstitions are a little more credible. And with today's episode, which centers on goblins that chase coincidences, we're going to keep exploring this alternate universe. It is also the first complete adventure for Ruby Sunday, the delightful new companion of the bi-generated 15th Doctor and him. Ruby is first seen to us on Christmas Eve when she is a newborn. With only a blanket between her and the snowy steps, she is abandoned outside a church without a basket. Ma, that's chilly. Voice-over narration from the Doctor tells us that the mother was forgotten and never seen again until a time traveler called. It's rather obvious who that will be based on the sound of the TARDIS. Today, Ruby will soon turn 19. Interview for Davina Mackle's real-life show, in which she searches for the family of foundlings who were abandoned as infants using DNA samples. Goblins carefully start a series of events that nearly knock Ruby unconscious while striking Davina in the head. Ruby is still bothered by the goblins weeks later, and the Doctor has been keeping an eye on things. When they first meet, the Doctor is dancing in a kilt and having the fun of his life at a club. His happiness is contagious. Ruby is informed by the Doctor that she is not merely unlucky or clumsy, and he goes on to save her and her friend's car from being crushed by a massive snowman. Ruby's adoptive mother, Carla, tells her on Christmas Eve that they are adopting a foster child at the last minute, who also happens to be Ruby's birthday. A photo of infant Lulubelle is placed on a refrigerator that is overflowing with images of the 33 kids Carla has fostered. Davina contacts Carla while she's shopping to let her know that no evidence of Ruby's family has been located, adding that, as shown by her numerous injuries, she has also been experiencing some bad luck. Just before a Christmas tree is going to hit Davina, the call ends. The goblins abduct Lulubelle while Ruby is preoccupied. One of the Divas' decisions is to leave a selfie behind. To the confusion of a Doctor who jumps out of a chimney, Ruby follows the goblins onto the roof and climbs a ladder to their floating ship. They get on board the goblin ship with the aid of some clever gloves that reduce weight and friction. With a happy, analytical curiosity, the Doctor evaluates the threat, observing that the goblins want to devour the infant since it happens to be Ruby's birthday, which makes it appetizing. They had been the ones causing the mishaps to incorporate her into their random web. He remarks, "It's a brand new science for me, and I love it." The vernacular of fortune. Because what is a coincidence if not an accident of some kind? Two unexpected objects colliding, much like you and me. The Doctor and Ruby crawl through the vents while a goblin band plays an unreasonably catchy song about devouring the baby, after the Doctor figures out the rope system that controls the ship. I apologize to Mariah, but I think this is the Christmas song I've streamed the most this year. Lulubelle is seasoned and transported along a conveyor belt when a curtain opens to show the Goblin King's mouth as her destination. Once more, it seems like this is a result of the salt superstition spreading. The lead vocalist tells us that he's not a myth, he's an actual thing. At last, Ruby and the Doctor descend to retrieve Lulubelle. Nobody attacks despite the goblins appearing to be able to overwhelm them, at least enough to bind them up. After adding their own lines to the goblin song to divert the attention of the throng, the Doctor and Ruby untie the ship's master knot to make their getaway. Once they are back in Ruby's apartment, the Doctor and Ruby work to make sure that no mishap will allow the goblins to reappear in our realm. Ruby tells Carla behind her back that Davina couldn't find any evidence of her family, presumably in an effort to stop Carla from asking too many questions. As Carla gives her daughter a hug, the Doctor feels obliged to say that he recently learned that he was also adopted. It's true that a lot of important, tragic background is missing, but it's encouraging to see him sharing in a way that 14 had found difficult. The Doctor and Ruby are both foundlings by coincidence, which sets off some menacing rumbling that finally causes the apartment's ceiling to split in half. The Doctor rejoices that the goblins have disappeared, only to discover later that they have traveled back in time to abduct Ruby, the other Christmas Eve infant. The Christmas decorations in the apartment have disappeared without Ruby, and so has Carla's positive outlook. Although it pains me to think that Carla would not have learned the value of family from another youngster, at least this gives us a chance to see some fantastic acting from Michelle Greenidge. She now considers fostering as a potential source of money because she has grown jaded and bitter. The Doctor is upset by this development and vows to put things right. His own mother figure, Tectune, used him as a tool and took advantage of his early years to learn about regeneration. The Doctor maneuvers the ship and impales the Goblin King on the church tower with the use of his gloves. the plot's master knot has been undone by him, as the episode's issues swiftly become clear. Ruby is left behind when the Goblin ship and all of its occupants conveniently vanish. Ruby in the present has been securely restored, all of her memories remaining, and the crack in the ceiling is back. At least Carla is interested in infants once more. Ruby is gradually piecing together some clues, such as the doctor's comment about spending a hot summer with Houdini, while the doctor saves Davina from the collapsing Christmas tree. Ruby gives her mother a quick kiss and dashes outdoors after learning that the doctor has time travel to save the day. After witnessing the doctor arrive and go a few times, Mrs. Flood, played by Anita Dobson from EastEnders, her nosy neighbor, nods at the TARDIS. The doctor introduces himself and Ruby finds out that it's larger inside. Mrs. Flood calms a startled neighbor down as she notices the police box vanishes. "Have you never seen a TARDIS before?" she asks, giving the camera a wink. Is that a lighthearted joke for the audience or a sign that we might see her again? Not always, at least in this new iteration of Who. Doctor Who has always had the ability to explain away convoluted storylines by pointing out that time travel and wibbly-wobbly things exist, or that human minds are simply not sophisticated enough to comprehend the cosmos in the same way that the Doctor does. However, as a result of the events of the anniversary specials, the Doctor no longer fully comprehends the cosmos, which is novel and fascinating to him. At this point, the science fiction program is on the verge of delving into fantasy, willing to stretch a bit for the benefit of the narrative or even a clever song. It makes sense that this time around, our gregarious new physician wields a more ridiculous-looking sonic screwdriver.